Chapter 16, A Trip North, Kalissa's Point of View. I have the bag for my cell phone attached to my diver's belt. I have my diving knife secured in its sheath. I also have 2 bags that include my toothbrush, toothpaste, and all my toiletries inside. I just hope it survives the trip. Ashira assured me that she had clothes for me there. She's thinner than I am, but she's convinced that by the time I test, we will be about the same size. I took that information as being that the next 4 weeks are going to be the toughest that I'll probably experience. We set the alarms for the security systems, and Varun and I headed down to the beach. It was still early, at 6 a.m. I had not slept well. I knew that something was up with the members of the highest kingdoms just randomly showing up. I was also worried about my reception there. I knew from what Kano had told me yesterday that my half-siblings now knew that I was coming. I would be lying if I didn't admit that I was concerned about how I was going to be received. Varun was giving me instructions as we walked down to the beach, where we were going and that it was going to depend on me how long our journey would take. I have to admit that I was ready to get into the water. I didn't swim yesterday. I just tried to enjoy the beach and get my house in order. We all know how well that turned out. The sun hasn't even risen yet. Varun knew I was fast, but neither of us knew if I could sustain a high speed or if I was just fast only when I was in panic mode. I didn't know either. I guess we're gonna find out today.
We're gonna head out about half a mile, and then we will head north, sticking semi-close to the shoreline. If you need to slow down, just do it. Do not push yourself too hard out here. Listen for boats, as we avoid them just in case they have people diving off of them. Just do as you were taught. Keep your eye out for any predators, and I'll stay by your side. Dad mentioned that he was going to test your speed out on the trip. I still want to do this too. He and I run an average of around 40 miles an hour. He's a little faster than I am, but we still warm up before we speed up. I'm going to let you run at a quick pace, but get my attention if you start getting tired. The way Dad was talking, he believes that your speed is another special gift that you were given by your father.
Varun told me as we walked into the surf. I was kind of curious as to how fast I could swim as well. Just call me nosy. I knew that my uncle had planned on testing me on the swim up the coast today. He had also mentioned that we could either go out into the open sea to test my speed, or we could go into a special training area in the kingdom. I felt the cold water embrace me as we walked further into the ocean. I was glad to finally dive in head first and happy to see my beautiful hair swirl all around me. I was no longer cold anymore. I was comfortable in the water. I was back in my happy place, and I quickly swam up to Varun to let him know I was ready to go. I hadn't even had to think about it for the transformation to occur this time. It was like my body welcomed being able to be free again. I guess since I was prevented from being able to change for 18 long years, I just craved being in the water all the time now. I have to admit, being in this almost silent world gave me a great deal of peace. I had never been a very good swimmer before I changed, but I'm a strong swimmer now. My Uncle Ronan had told me that it was because my father had bound my powers. He had done it for my own protection, but I wished that he had never bound me in the first place. I wished he had been able to just take me with him, back to his kingdom, and just had my uncle and his wife raise me instead of leaving me with my mother and grandmother. I shook my head. That was wrong. I loved my grandfather, and I do not regret the time I had with him. I need to focus right now. I got lost in my thoughts before and almost became lunch because of it. I sped up and matched Varun's speed. We stayed like that for a few miles, warming our muscles up. Varun looked over at me and then sped up. I quickly caught up with him, and we stayed like this for the next 3 hours. He slowed down and looked over at me before pointing up. He wanted to speak to me. I wasn't a member of the kingdom yet, so we had to go to the surface.
Are you okay? Do I need to slow down? We're a little over a third of the way there. I just wanted to check on you.
Varun asked me. I'm good. I can go faster if needed. This is not my top speed. I can feel that it isn't. So if you want to speed up more, I'm fine with it. I told him. He was surprised at my response, and then gave me a big smile before he said,
Okay, you asked for it, Callie.
He dove back down, and I was right on his tail. We were moving even faster than before, so I had to assume that we had been swimming at around 30 miles an hour. We were going much faster this time, and I knew that even as I swam next to him, I could still go even faster than we already were. I was content to go at this speed. I felt safe around him in this unknown area. I didn't know where we were going, but I was paying attention as we headed further north. It was best to just stay by his side as we swam towards the kingdom. We spent the next 4 hours speeding through the water. The coastline got much rockier as Varun brought us closer to shore. He made a kind of game of it, sliding back and forth, going around the rocks as we edged closer to where we were going. It was a challenge, but one that I was up for. This allowed me to learn to swim even faster with better accuracy. I could feel my core muscles burning as we kept swimming. I was getting the hang of turning a lot faster, using the dorsal fin on my tail. I mimicked his moves as he cut through the area like it was nothing. I had to focus on what I was doing. I was not as smooth as he was at it just yet. This ended up being a really fun challenge, one that I have enjoyed the most out of all of my training. Since he lived here, I guess he was very used to doing this. I slid right through the rock maze after him as we continued. I knew that we were getting close now. Before I knew it, he started slowing down. I have to admit that the distraction of going back and forth between the rocks kept me focused. I knew that my uncle had planned to keep me away from prying eyes. Ashira was going to be my teacher to learn about our history. My uncle was not taking any chances on me being hurt. As my father's youngest child and a crossbreed, I was not going to be welcomed here with open arms. I had an inkling that even within my uncle's family, I might not be welcomed. Ashira had told me that her youngest sister likes to hang out with my half-siblings. I already knew that she was the one who had tipped them off about me coming to get trained for me to be tested. I hope that we can manage to skip the main part of the population and just go straight to my uncle's home. This swim was about 8 hours. I was tired and I was hungry. No wonder my uncle had bought the condo next to mine. It would be hard to swim 16 hours as well as train for another 3 hours each day. It made sense for him to do it now. I felt a little guilty about how exhausted he must have been. It warmed my heart even more to know that he loved me so much that he was willing to do it. You have to love someone to work so hard to try to help them. I knew my father couldn't come, so my uncle stepped up in a big way. He wanted me to succeed. He's doing his best to make that happen, and I will not disappoint him. We slid into the canyon and swam for another few miles. Sea lions were in there playing and swimming along with us. We slowly approached an outcropping on the wall. I watched as Varun slid a plate that looked just like part of the rock itself, moving it over. He then placed his hand on the screen that was exposed. The top part of the wall dropped to show a small cave for us to swim into. Varun motioned me inside, and we watched the rock slide right back down into place. As soon as the rock wall closed, the water in the cave drained away. We were then rinsed off with some fresh water from the water fixtures above us, getting the salt water off of us. We were now standing on our legs, and we turned to the other side of the cave to exit. We walked through some strong motion-activated blowers before getting to where towels were hanging up for us. We were now standing in a long hallway. I saw him and a woman I assume was my aunt standing there waiting to welcome me. A total of 4 of their children were standing around them, with Ashira zipping forward to welcome me first. My uncle hugged me and then my aunt. She was a beautiful lady, and she quickly made me feel welcome. "I'm your Aunt Maisie. I know it is a silly name, but my parents wanted to give me a special name with meaning. It means the jewel of the sea. Your name is very special, too. Your father chose a good one for you. I would say that it is very fitting," my aunt told me. I had no idea what my name meant, and I had to frown. What had my father named me? Chapter 17, Welcome Dinner. Kalissa's Point of View. "I'm sorry, honey. I thought you already knew that all of our names have a special meaning. It either comes from our heritage or has something to do with the sea or ocean. Your name, Kalissa, means most beautiful, and Marin, your middle name, means star of the sea. Your father knew that you were going to be special. He made sure of that. I would say that he was right. You should be called most beautiful star of the sea. I thought you already knew what your name meant, as it is very beautiful. Come with me, Kalissa. We had a late breakfast and skipped lunch so we could all have an early dinner to get to know you." My aunt pulled me into the apartment, which was directly across the hallway from where we had entered. I was stunned to see that it looked a lot like a regular home, with couches and chairs. It just didn't have any windows. They have a TV and even some discs to play movies. If you didn't know where you were, you would think that you were living just like a human. She took me through their large living room and over to the dining room table. The food was still hot, and I was stunned at the amount of food that was on the table. It was a lot of food for just 8 people. Ashira started pulling me away from her mother and took me to the table. I was sitting between her and my aunt, who was at the opposite head of the table from my uncle Ronan. Varun and 2 other males were sitting opposite us. Varun was sitting next to his father at the head of the table. The other female was sitting next to Ashira and looking at me curiously, just like her brothers who were across the table from me. I can see that my Aunt Maisie had cooked enough food for an army. I saw that she had even cooked some things that were made especially for me. I loved fried chicken and mashed potatoes. How did she know that? How did they get this food down here? How did she know what my favorite comfort food was? Before I could ask, my aunt said, "Let's eat first, Calissa, and then we can fill you in on the questions that you have. Is that okay?" "Yes. We didn't eat breakfast. Varun wanted to get an early start, and I am hungry. Thank you for welcoming me like this. I have to say that I was worried about my reception here. Not necessarily from you, but from my father's family," I replied. I saw a look cross my aunt's face before she quietly said, "I'm sorry that they found out that you were coming. We didn't think that our youngest daughter, Cyrena, would go so far as to tell her cousins about your coming here, especially when we specifically asked her not to tell anyone. We will not fail you again. I made sure not to mention that we were having dinner early tonight, so you'd be able to speak freely with us." "That is not your fault. I'm sure she has her reasons for it. I'm hoping to avoid any incidents for as long as I can, but I'm sure that I won't be able to dodge them forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to meet my half-siblings. I'm used to not being treated well. I'm sure this will just be more of the same. Again, it is not your fault. I'm just excited about getting the biggest blessing of my life, being a mermaid. I'm excited about finding a family that loves me. I cannot remember being as happy as I am now," I replied. I was being honest. I was not seeking anything from what I said. I just wanted them to know that I was prepared to deal with whatever ended up coming my way. There was no speaking for a few minutes as everyone filled their plates. I could see that the men had filled their plates to overflowing. I grabbed a lot of food too. I know that I burned a ton of calories today. My abdominal muscles were still letting me know I did too much today. You have to engage your core to swim properly. No wonder most mermaids are depicted as slim in all the pictures and illustrations that I've seen of them. I was just too nervous to eat before the trip. I didn't want to get sick, so I didn't grab anything. Varun had not eaten either, and I knew that he was very hungry too. "What is that?" A voice came from my right. I could see her motioning to the fried chicken on my plate. "This is fried chicken, and these are mashed potatoes. I like it. It is a comfort food for me. I guess Uncle Ronan realized that I liked it too. I don't know how you ended up making it or getting the food down here, but you did this perfectly, Aunt Maisie," I replied to her. I watched as the woman grabbed a leg and tried it herself. I was glad to see that she liked it. She then got some of the potatoes and then said, "This is delicious. Great job, Mom." My Aunt Maisie was a beautiful lady. She had blonde hair and soft brown eyes. She seemed to be gentle and kind. The best part is that she actually appeared to want me to be there. That made me even happier. Ashira had blonde hair but had her father's green eyes. It had to be her older sister sitting next to her, as they said that the youngest had been the one who had told my siblings that I was coming. "Calissa, I'm your cousin, Dion. I'm 23 years old. I'm glad that you were able to make it here to be trained. It is a very long swim, so I'm sure you're tired from it, as it is over 300 miles. If you need my help in training, I'll be glad to help you." Dion, Ashira's older sister, finally spoke up again. That ended up breaking the silence. Dion had blonde hair and brown eyes, just like her mother, but her aura was very different from my Aunt Maisie's. She was not happy about me being there. I couldn't tell if it was because I was a human or because I had received special powers. It could be both, but she didn't hide the fact that she was not a fan of mine away from me.
I'm your cousin Nathan. I want to welcome you as well. I'm 24 years old. I've heard that you have received some special powers. How nice for you,
he said. Nathan had a cold expression on his face. He had blonde hair from his mother and green eyes from his father. They were just like mine. I could already tell that he had a problem with me, as did Dion. I had heard that some of my uncle's children had not been blessed with gifts. I guess it was perfectly understandable for them to be jealous of someone swooping in there and having multiple gifts. I had not asked to be blessed with gifts. I just do not know why they're being so passive-aggressive towards me. I also noticed that he did not offer to train me. He was not happy with my being there at all. I could tell that he was trying to hide that fact from his parents. I'm not going to waste my time trying to get them to like me. I will be pleasant, but I already knew that Cyrena was not the only one to leak the fact that I was coming. I'm Indigo. It just means deep blue. Dion's name is cool because it means the divine. Nathan's name is pretty cool because it means God of the Sea. I'm 18 years old, just like you, so that is pretty cool. I have a birthday coming up next month. I wanted to offer to help you train. I'm interested in seeing what you can do, as we have kind of the same power. I can push objects, propel marine life back away from me, so I can help you with that. I'm also a shapeshifter, and I can teleport. So once I get to come and visit you at your house, I can come there again in the blink of an eye in case of an emergency. So be sure to save my cell number. I've heard a lot about you from Dad and Ashira. I can't wait to see you kill the test. We will have you ready in no time. Indigo told me. Indigo was excited for me to be here. It was pretty cool that we were the same age. I think that being able to teleport was a pretty cool power. I saw Nathan's eyes roll as he listened to Indigo speak about his powers. I could tell that he looked down on his little brother. I could see that Dion's mouth was in a thin line now. They were both pretty pissed off. So much for a pleasant family dinner. It was starting to become uncomfortable at the table. Indigo didn't ask for the extra powers. Did my cousins not understand the meaning of a gift? He couldn't control the fact that he got 3 of them. My aunt and uncle were well aware that it was about half and half with their children being accepting of me. Uncle Ronan had warned me that this might occur. It was clear that there was some jealousy about those who received powers.
Callie, I'd like to speak to you in my study, please. Everyone else is excused,
my Uncle Ronan said as he rose from his chair. I watched as Dion and Ashira helped to clear the table with my aunt. Varun stood up with his father, and I knew he was coming with us for the meeting. Before I could even stand up, the front door opened quickly and a sarcastic voice rang out. What? Am I no longer welcome in my own home now that the human has arrived? Chapter 18, Interrupted. Kalissa's point of view. A girl that looked to be around my age stood in the doorway. She didn't attempt to hide the loathing for me that was showing in her eyes. This must be Cyrena. She was very pretty, with long blonde hair and brown eyes. She looked just like Dion and my Aunt Maisie, but her attitude was off the charts. She was spoiled, and unfortunately she happened to remind me a great deal of Camilla. She didn't try to hide the fact that she knew she had not been invited to this dinner. Either Dion or Nathan had told her, and she ran over here to catch us eating without her. She wanted to warn me that this was her family and not mine. I already knew that. I knew that I didn't fit in here. She just wanted to make sure that I got the memo. I smiled at her. She was pushing out her aura of just how pissed off she was at me. I could see that she had 2 other girls with her, still standing behind her. I have a bad feeling from the direct hate showing in their eyes that these 2 are probably going to be some of my half-siblings. I glanced over at Nathan, and he seemed surprised by them showing up like that. Dion was still standing in the kitchen with her back to me and the door. It was pretty obvious who had tipped Cyrena off. Everyone else was looking at the girls at the door. I didn't want to deal with this on day 1, but it looks like it is being taken out of my hands. They all walked into the dining room and were all sizing me up. I could already guess who they were. Ashira had warned me about my wonderful sisters. The older of the 2 had to be Mariella. She also had long blonde hair and pale blue eyes. She had a beautiful face, but the aura that she was putting out was not beautiful at all. The other girl with them seemed to be around my age, too. I have to assume that she was Alana. I see that, just like her sister and Cyrena, she just had the regular ability to become human. None of them had special powers, and I'm sure that made them dislike me even more. Alana was also very beautiful, with long dark hair, just like mine. Only she had the same pale blue eyes as Mariella had. I could tell that they wanted to lay into me and just go off. They just held back, as my Uncle Ronan had stepped past me and approached them. They kept their eyes trained on me as he spoke to them.
"Does your father know that you're here? I assumed just yesterday that you were all told not to approach Callie. She is to be left alone until after the testing is complete. Do I need to speak to your father about this? I'm sure that he mentioned it to you either last night or this morning. Why are you now here in my home, causing an issue?"
Uncle Ronan asked them. I watched Cyrena immediately start to pout and tried to work her dad. She then said, "You gave her my chair, Dad. I was not told that we were eating early. This was a deliberate uninvite for me. Am I being punished for something?" She was trying to act innocent when it was clear that she was indeed the one who told my half-siblings that I was here. I was waiting to see if her dad was going to fall for it. I've seen this type of act before, and it has always been disappointing to me to see it work on others.
"Cyrena, you were told that Callie was coming here in confidence. You know as well as I do that she's your cousin, as much as they are. She is my brother's daughter too, despite them not wanting to accept her. Yet you deliberately told them. You all three know that you are not supposed to approach Callie until after her testing is complete. I warned you myself, Cyrena. She has enough against her trying to learn how to be a mermaid in such a short amount of time. Do not cause problems for her. Not in my home. Not in this kingdom. I will not allow it. I'll be making sure that Kano knows that you both have come here without being invited. I will not allow you to bully her. I'm well aware that you both have secretly bullied your other half-siblings,"
my uncle told them. "I'm sorry, Uncle. We just wanted to get to see her, to see if she even looked like our father. So many try to trick their way in here. We just wanted to make sure that she even remotely resembled him. She's a human, and it is disgraceful that she even exists. Mom told us to go and verify it. I guess she does, in a way. It is clear to me, though, that however tough her life was, there wasn't a lack of food," Mariella said in a low tone. Wow, she is vicious. She managed to pack a great many insults into just a few sentences. Both Alana and Cyrena both laughed in my face as she threw those insults at me. I'm not going to respond or let them know how much they just hurt me. The best way to wipe the smiles off their faces is to kill this test. Their opinion of me does hurt, but it isn't going to deter me. I'm going to work harder to learn whatever I can as best as I can. I can tell that these girls are going to do their best to sabotage me as much as they can. They would have been smarter to have stayed in the shadows to try to get to me. I appreciate the warning.
"I want you both to hear the words that I'm about to say to you, Mariella. Your mother is indeed the queen here, but your father is the king. Her words do not supersede his. He said not to come around Callie. You still did. I'll be letting him know about that. You need to remember that you two brought whatever happens to you on yourselves. Callie does not have anything to do with you two, willingly ignoring his instructions. You think that you're smarter than grown adults? Let me tell you this, you are not. This was a blatant attempt to try to intimidate her. I will let you both know something you haven't. Callie has not moved 1 inch since you arrived. She's still sitting in her chair. She hasn't hidden from any of you. I hope all 3 of you think before you try to attempt this again. I'm not going to let it slide. Cyrena, you'll not be getting an allowance for a month. You're grounded. Do not go to your mother to get any money either. She agrees with me about this. You need to learn what happens when you deliberately try to cause problems for others. You end up causing problems for yourself,"
Uncle Ronan told her. I didn't think that it was a hard punishment, but real tears immediately sprang into Cyrena's eyes. She took a step forward towards her dad. "I won't be able to make my car note if you take my money away. Their mother asked me a direct question. I had to answer her. She is the queen. I was forced to do it, Dad." Cyrena started to cry now. Why does she need a car? I just got one and I have only driven it twice. Once to go get groceries, once to go clothes shopping, and for items for the condo with Ashira.
Why were you there in the first place? You know that your cousins only hang around you when you have information that they want. They ignore you the rest of the time. Why do you keep falling for it? You could have made a real friend with your new cousin, yet you decided to suck up to them. If you think that I don't know exactly how you think, you are wrong,
Uncle Ronan told her. I see the hate in her eyes increase as she glares over at me. She hadn't heard one word that her father said to her. To her, this whole thing is completely my fault. This is just like high school, only my half-sisters have some pull as their parents run this place. Unless my Uncle Ronan stands up for me, I'm in for a rough time here. I just wanted to have a chance to meet my family, to try to make some new friends. I can see that these three are never going to allow that to happen. I can see the wheels working in Mariella's brain right now. She was going to try to get me back in the worst way. I can't see this getting any worse for me right now. I just got here and more than half of my family members wish that I had never come. I don't want to be friends with a mixed breed. She isn't even supposed to exist. She's an abomination, and I cannot believe that you're even welcoming her here. Why? You're picking her over your daughter. It is disgusting, Cyrena shrieked out.
I am not picking her over you. You made some bad decisions and decided to go against what I had specifically told you not to do. They made a bad decision in wanting to come with you when your sister Dion let you know that we were having dinner. I will deal with her later, but I have a meeting soon. I also need to let my brother know that his children are completely disobeying his orders. I'm sure that they will be punished too,
my uncle calmly told them. I saw the first real spark of fear appear on their faces. I see Dion's reaction to her dad knowing who had brought them here. I hate that my presence was causing problems, but I didn't ask for this to happen. I didn't make any of them do what they did. I was just glad that I wasn't being thrown away like trash. I was worried that he was going to comfort his daughter about her bad behavior. A knock sounded on the door, and it suddenly got very quiet in the room. I had assumed that his meeting was with me. Someone else was going to be meeting with him too. My uncle opened the door to receive the guest. I couldn't see who it was, as I was still seated at the table. I glanced over at Varun, who motioned for me to stay calm. I suddenly heard my sister Mariella blurt out, "What are you doing here? You're supposed to be having dinner with us tonight." Chapter 19. How could you know that? Kalissa's point of view. A handsome man had just entered the dining room, walking behind my uncle. He had blonde hair and hazel eyes. He was a big guy. I think that he may even be bigger than my uncle, who was no slouch himself. It was clear that he was used to working out or doing a lot of physical labor. His broad shoulders and chest tapered down to a slim waist. Even though his shirt wasn't tight, you could tell that he was in great shape. His eyes wandered around the room before finally settling on me. He gave a small nod of acknowledgement to me, which was weird. I could feel the jealous gazes of Dion, Cyrena, and Alana piercing me right now. I cannot control what this man does. I don't even know who he is. It seemed like seeing me sitting there at the dining room table was totally pissing them all off. Out of everyone in the room, he had given his attention to me. Why was he showing me respect for me? The moment that Mariella saw that, the gloves came off. "Peter, are you not eating with my family? With the king tonight? You do not have to acknowledge her at all. She's a disgusting half-breed that will soon be gone from here. I do not know why she even came here. She'll never belong here. You're my soon-to-be brother-in-law. Yet you didn't even acknowledge me when you came in. Do I not deserve your respect anymore? What is going on here? I demand to know what is going on." Mariella was shrieking loudly by the time she got to the end of her little tirade. I have no idea why she's so upset all of a sudden. I also don't know why he showed me the respect that he did. I do realize who he is now after what she just said. He deserves all of our respect. So how could she act like a petulant child in front of him like that? It was completely disrespectful to him to do so. Once she spit out the fact that he was to be her brother-in-law, I realized that he was the king's brother. Ashira had shown me a picture of their family last week before I got here. She thought that the three brothers were handsome. She named them all and explained what rank they had. Ashira liked Jason the most. I hate to say it, but I thought that Andreas was the most handsome of the three brothers. But seeing Peter right here in front of me lets me know that picture did him no justice at all. He looked to be about the same age as Varun. I quickly stood up from my chair and bowed to him in respect. I don't know why I felt I needed to do that, but it brought a smile to his face. He was even more handsome when he smiled. He had a dimple on his right cheek. As he stood there smiling at me, I realized that he was one of the most handsome men I had ever seen. For some reason, his aura was very calming to me. I felt as comfortable around him as I did with my uncle. He was tall, just like my cousin Varun, but even being a big guy, he moved with grace when he entered the room. His hazel eyes showed excitement as he looked at my uncle and asked,
"Are you ready for our meeting?"
He still ignored Mariella. She was almost breathing fire now at the perceived insult to her for not answering her questions. She was not going to accept that at all. She decided to double down on getting a response from him. "Peter, are you not going to show the respect that my father deserves? Why would you set up a meeting just a short time before we were to have dinner together? Does my upcoming position in your family not deserve any respect from you? Why would you acknowledge her but not me? I'm the one about to be your sister-in-law and the next queen of Atlantis. She's just a worthless human. When she fails her test, she'll be banished from our kingdom. You don't need to worry about her at all or give her any respect. I have it on good authority that she will not be passing," Mariella continued. Does she not even realize what she has just said? She had already stacked the test against me before I had officially started my training. How is that even fair to me? How is she so confident that I'm gonna fail? What does she know that I don't? We all watched as he turned around and pinned her with his gaze. I can see exactly when she realized that she had messed up. Her sister looked embarrassed and stepped back, heading towards the door to the apartment. It almost looked like she wanted to leave her sister. Even Cyrena stepped away from her, putting distance between them by stepping closer to her father. She wanted to distance herself, as you could see how angry Peter was right now. He was no longer smiling anymore, yet she stood there like he could do nothing to her. She was delusional, as she had just admitted that my test was rigged, yet she felt no shame about announcing it to everyone here. It was obvious that Mariella knew something and hadn't thought before she spoke. Her hatred of me and her anger at his ignoring her made her slip up. She can't backpedal now. It is way too late for that. "So, before I even arrived, you had already set me up to fail. How is that fair or impartial? Let me guess, one of your family members is the one who's setting up the course? But how do you know that I'm going to fail? I could surprise you," I asked her. I tried so hard not to respond to her at all, but for her to drop that kind of bomb in front of everyone, it deserved to be pointed out. I wonder if my father is aware of this plot. How would I even know if he was? He could be involved with it. He may have just felt guilty over leaving me with my mother and grandmother, so he bought me my own house. He may not even want to have a relationship with me. It might just be that my uncle wanted me to be a member of this kingdom. I kept my face neutral, but inside I was in a great deal of pain at the thought of my father stacking the deck against me. "Do not speak to me, you filthy human! You're not even a member of this kingdom. You're nothing. I will not dignify your questions with a response," Mariella fired back at me. I could tell that she couldn't answer my questions. She didn't have to. She had already admitted it. Everyone in the room knew what she meant by what she said. She had set me up to fail and is now doing the only thing she could to cover it up, trying to change the subject by pointing out that I am not a real mermaid. I bet it is killing her to know that I have powers when she doesn't. Even with her royal upbringing, she can't change the fact that I am still a mermaid, even if she doesn't want me to be.
"I was wondering the same thing, Calissa. I will not be joining your family tonight. I've made other plans. My sister and her friend will be the ones joining your family for dinner. I would, however, like to know the answer to those questions Calissa asked. I heard that your oldest brother, Troy, was the one setting up the testing route for Calissa. Have you, or maybe someone else in your family, already asked him to put her in danger? Because that is what it sounded like to me. These tests are supposed to be challenging, but not necessarily put the person being tested in danger. I guess I'll need to stay the whole month now to see how this plays out,"
Peter told her. The look on her face is priceless. She's so stunned she doesn't know what to say right now. Even if she hadn't been the one to ask her brother to do that, I bet her mother had. Mariella just knew about it and couldn't resist letting us all know. So it is true. They are plotting against me. Mariella's mouth was opening and closing rapidly like she was trying to figure out what to say, but it was too late now. I do not know what you're even implying, Peter. I have done no such thing. I'm just assuming, since she is a crossbreed, that she's weak. I can guarantee you that there is no way that she's going to be able to pass the test. I mean, just look at her. There's nothing at all that is impressive about her. How in the world could she possibly pass the test? Mariella again tossed me under the bus. I do not know why you are so threatened by me that you would come here and cause a disturbance in my uncle's home. You're already making snap judgments about me and my character. Yes, I am human. I'm also kind, smart, and thoughtful. You've already dismissed me all because my mother was a human? I answered Mariella. I felt an arm slip around my shoulder and I knew it was Ashira coming to comfort me. I'm fighting hard not to cry right now in front of them. How dare they? I didn't ask for any of this to happen. It seems like the gods knew who to bless and who not to bless, because every single one of the ones who didn't get a special blessing has clowned tonight. I would like today to be over with. I do not want to look at them anymore. They came here to cause me to become upset, and they have succeeded. They may have gotten upset too, but they got me way worse than I got any of them. I hope this whole place wasn't full of petty people like this, but I wasn't willing to bet my life on it. From the sound of it, if you were not born here, you don't deserve to be here.
Cyrena, go ahead and get to dinner with your cousins. If my brother or Doris ask why you're there, you can tell them that after I speak to Peter. I will be sure to fill him in on what happened tonight,"
my uncle said, as he headed for his study again. Peter and Varun were right behind him as he entered his office.
"You too, Callie,"
I heard him call out to me. I hated the feeling of every eye on me as I headed to his study.
Increased Risk. Chapter 20. Ronan's Point of View. I am fuming. I would like nothing better than to go up to my brother's apartment and crash their dinner. I wanted to let him know that not just one, but two of his daughters showed up at my home. Their sole purpose in coming here was to try to bully and insult Callie the moment she arrived. The fact that I knew that their mother sent them here is the most ridiculous part. Kano told them to leave Callie alone, yet that didn't happen. They all three need to be punished for this, and I am including Doris in the punishment. I will deal with Serena and Dion myself. I already knew that it was going to be dangerous for Callie here, but she had to come here. There are steps that we have to take for her to be a recognized member of this kingdom. Despite her being Kano's daughter, she still had to follow through with the testing. It was all made up and created by Doris. I knew exactly why she couldn't punish Kano, so she punished his innocent children instead. Even missing one of the rules for testing could result in her not being accepted here. That would cause even bigger problems. I was already upset before they arrived. I always thought that Maisie and I had raised good, respectful children. I can see from how this dinner went, only the good ones who had received special powers had been receptive to Callie at all. I could understand why, as it wasn't just Doris's family that discriminated against humans here. I knew that once they got to see her in her mermaid form, their attitudes were going to get a lot worse. It breaks my heart that she is going to have to go through this. That is why I don't want her to be revealed as a blessed mermaid just yet. I was glad that I had told Varen and Ashura not to mention it to anyone else either. Once they knew what she is, all hell is going to break loose. That statement is putting it mildly. I knew that Doris and her parents would be making plans to make sure that Callie disappears forever. The only way to take her out is while she is new to her powers, so they would have to act fast. They will know that Callie will be a direct threat to Mariella and keep her from becoming the Queen of Atlantis. They would hate her even more for something that she had no control over. I was glad that I had to make sure to speak to Peter earlier today. It was pretty suspect that he and his sister just all of a sudden showed up. I was just thankful to have him on our side. He didn't tell me exactly why they had shown up with no notice. I did know when I saw Callie after she transformed that this might happen. Every single blessed mermaid before her has gone on to rule as the Queen of Atlantis. Peter told me that he was here to pick up the last decade of testing results. I had a suspicion that the Oracle had already told Andreas about Callie. It was no secret to anyone that he did not want to marry Mariella. She is truly annoying, even to her own family, so I am sure that it would be worse for him. She is an attractive girl, as is her mother, but their attitude of entitlement is what makes it so hard to be around them. They believe that since they are directly descended from the Nereids, they are entitled to receive whatever they want in life. I have never wanted to kick them out of my apartment more than I did today. I even kicked my daughter out with them. She has chosen her side in this. She went with the ones she thought were going to win this battle. I am ashamed that she would have done that. It is clear to me now that she is an opportunist. The moment she realized that Peter was angry, Serena couldn't move away from her and over to me fast enough. Serena had caused Callie a great deal of problems with what she has done. I will be dealing with her, but first I need to get Callie trained. I am disgusted by all three of my own children's behavior tonight. I opened the door to my study and ushered Peter, Varen, and Callie into the room. This room was soundproofed. I am glad about it now, as I didn't want anything that was discussed here to be reported. I have to take a minute to calm down. I am angry that Kano might not have warned Doris to leave Callie alone. She is not going to allow Callie to live peacefully here in the kingdom. Doris knows that Callie is already a threat. I have got to protect her as best I can while she is training. Callie, I am so sorry for how dinner went tonight, but I want you to know that none of that was your fault. I will be dealing with all three of my children, but I need to get you trained first. Peter has come from Atlantis, and he is going to help to train you as well. Varen, I need one of us three, you, me, or Indigo, to be with her when she is outside our apartment. I will make sure that Kano knows what happened here tonight, the next time I speak to him. I do not want Doris or any of their children in my home anymore, until after the testing is complete. Callie, the threat against you is real. That was just the first of many incidents. I will do my best to protect you at all times, but I need you to put as much effort into training as you can. Can you do that for me? I asked my niece.
I will, Uncle Rowan. I'm sorry for causing a disturbance in your home. I had hoped that I would be as warmly received by all of your children. Varen and Ashura have been wonderful to me. It seems as if Indigo was willing to accept me, but I can see that it is a lost cause with the rest of them. At least for right now.
Callie told me. This isn't your fault at all, Callie. Jealousy is a hard thing to overcome. Plus, Doris has spent her whole life trying to paint humans as badly as she can to the whole kingdom. She has an inflated ego, and I do not think that she has even had a problem with a human before. My brother's actions are what poisoned her mind about humans. Also, she believes herself to be above everyone else because of her bloodline. I can assure you that she was not given the gifts that you have been given. Do not focus on your cousins or your half-siblings. Let's just focus on your training schedule. I will get it prepared tonight, and we will start tomorrow at 8 a.m., I told her.
I'm honestly just taken aback by how Queen Doris is acting right now. Her clear hatred for not just Kalisa, but all humans in general is surprising to me. My mother was a human. She was turned into a mermaid to come and rule at my father's side. Has Doris forgotten that? Or did she just dismiss it as my mother was the Queen of Atlantis? It is just disgusting to me that she is already giving Kalisa such a hard time. I will be letting Andreas know about this tonight when I speak to him. I had a feeling that either I or my sister Ophelia might have to step in to protect Kalisa before she is able to test. I'm glad that my brother realized that he needed to send women here to help defend Kalisa. We need to protect her the best we can, but the girls can go with her everywhere that we can't. We'll need to put guards at the entrance to where she is being trained. I will not let a gap in her protection allow them to get their hands on her. Peter replied.
Thank you, Peter. This is going to be harder than I originally thought it would be. I'm going to have to push Kano to deal with his family and call them off of her. Callie, you cannot go anywhere on your own. You need to have Ashura with you at all times, as she can call me through our link if you are in danger. I didn't expect this to start the minute you arrived, and for that, I am truly sorry. For your training, it will be limited to me, Varen, Peter, and Indigo for now. I will do what is needed to keep you safe, I told her.
Andreas sent Ophelia and Phoebe here to help me with your protection detail. They can stay with her in areas that I can't go into. They're both aware of who they need to protect. Tonight, they're at dinner at Kano's home to see what they're up against. I doubt that anyone would go so far as to attack them to get to Kalisa, but we don't know that for sure. After arriving here, I can see where I was wrong in my estimations,
Peter announced. I nodded to him with approval. He was smart enough to bring trusted women with him. I am surprised by how serious he was about this. That let me know for a fact that Andreas had indeed sent Peter and the 2 women with him, here to help protect Callie. I am positive that Andreas knows exactly who Callie was, without Peter having to admit it to me. I will accept their help. It would be impossible for me and Varen alone to be able to protect her properly. I know Doris. She is very intelligent. She will find a way to get to Callie. The only thing that I can do is to make sure that the South training area is off limits to everyone until we get her trained. I will have to assign guards to the doors. Peter was right about that. I can't just lock the doors. That will not work to keep her safe. I have to make sure that Kano himself tells them that no one else is allowed to enter the training area. No one can see her before it is time. Doris would try to enter. I already knew that she will send her children to try to get in as well. The hardest one to keep at bay is going to be Troy. He is the next in line to be king here, and it will be a fine line to keep from crossing him if he demands entrance. Kano is going to have to lay down the law. He needs to do it tonight, while they are there for a family dinner. I have to make sure that he is aware that if Callie is found out, they will not hesitate to kill her. She stands to be the most powerful of all his children.
She is blessed. I would not put it past them to try to hurt or even kill her. Once they see her, they'll know that she is meant to be the next queen of Atlantis. What do you need for me to do to help you protect her? I asked him. We have to proceed carefully, Andreas. We have already shown up unannounced when we have always scheduled our visits. I do not want to make it obvious why we are here. I believe that Ronan suspects why we suddenly arrived, especially since I volunteered to help train and protect Kalisa. Mariella didn't even try to hide the fact that they want Kalisa gone very badly. Mariella is vicious. I heard the start of it through the door. I arrived in the hallway as they entered the apartment. I heard the whole thing. Mariella did not even try to hide the fact that she hated her. She was hateful and insulting. She stated to the room that no matter what, Kalisa was not going to be able to pass the test. Like she already knew for a fact that she wouldn't, Peter told me. If you have to, make sure that Ophelia knows who Kalisa is to me. Make sure that she keeps her safe. Your main job there is protection for Kalisa. The testing results are secondary. If needed, you can have them send the testing results to Jason's email for him to print and bring to me to check. We cannot allow Mariella or Doris to hurt her, I said to Peter. I was already almost pleading with him. I felt like I needed to go there myself to protect her. However, I also knew that any further interference on our part could result in this blowing up in our faces. I know, brother, I know. We'll give you the rest of the bad news before I get to the good news. Ophelia and Phoebe are both here with me. I'll let you hear it directly from them, Peter told me. I already knew this was not going to be good.
Andreas, I hate to say this, but it looked bad when Mariella came back in tears from going to meet Kalisa. Before I knew what had actually happened, we both believed what Mariella had said at dinner. She is a very convincing liar. She acted like she didn't want to mention what had happened. Doris kept asking several questions to try to drag it out of her. She said that she had just gone to greet her sister, to welcome her to the kingdom. She said that Callie had insulted not just her, but their entire family. That she was very disrespectful about what she said about King Kano and Queen Doris. I only knew it was a lie after I heard Peter's recording. Mariella was completely disgusting about what she said about Kalisa, about her being a crossbreed. It is clear to me that the royal family here hate humans. They are absolutely biased against them. I had to hold my tongue several times during dinner.
Ophelia told me. I heard Phoebe in the background murmuring her agreement.
Peter, please send me that video. I would like to view it as well.
My father said in a cold tone, his lips pressed into a thin line. I think that Doris had forgotten that my mother was a human before she became the Queen of Atlantis. I'm glad that Peter had gotten some proof. I knew he was the right man for the job before I sent him there. This is going to be a bigger problem than I originally thought it was going to be. I've already sent it to both of your phones. Check your email. I also saved it in my email. I didn't want it to come up missing if we needed it. I felt bad for Kalisa. She believed that her coming here had caused all of this. She apologized to her uncle for causing a disruption. Ronan was pissed, but not at Kalisa. He told her as much. I cannot believe this. There are so many who are against her here. Ronan is right to try to shield her as much as he can. From the sound of it, it is me, Ronan, his son Varen, and maybe his other son who are willing to help her train. I saw them come to stand behind her, giving her support, as Mariella went off. It was important to them to show her their support. Peter told us. Do your best to help her, Peter. She just turned 18, and I don't know if she has even been taught anything about our world yet. I would like to know a few things about her. If you can find out anything, I would appreciate it. She was created especially for me. I would like our first meeting to go well. Ronan is pretty smart, and he will figure this out quickly. I do not think that it is wise to include Kano in her training. He might let it slip out in defending her, especially if Doris ends up pushing him too far. He should find out when the rest of the kingdom does. I told Peter. I see Dad nodding his head in agreement. Kano has a temper. He has been known to let things slip in the heat of an argument. Andreas, could you put together a list of the special powers that the former Blessed Mermaids had? There have been 4 so far, and each one was different from the previous one. We can check and see how many gifts Kalisa has during her training. I told Ronan tonight, after Kalisa excused herself, that Kano doesn't need to be included in any of Kalisa's training. Ronan is going to talk to him personally tonight before bed. I know that you don't want Kano to know that she is a Blessed Mermaid, but Ronan had already informed him of that information before I was able to get there. Having a Blessed Mermaid is kind of a big deal, and the king is supposed to be notified of their presence. I wish I could have told him Mariella told him lies, but I didn't find out about it until the girls came back to our suite. I told Ronan to mention to Kano that their knowing about Kalisa could cause his children and Doris to become even angrier, that Kano needs to wait to spend time with her. That should buy us some time. I know that Ronan is going to speak to Kano again tomorrow after the first training session. I will let Ronan have the video too, if he needs it, to defend Kalisa. I'll call you each night to report how it went, Peter told us.
Chapter 22. Serious about my protection. Kalisa's point of view. I went to bed early last night. I was completely exhausted from having such a long swim to get here. My Aunt Maisie told me that she would have me a bed of my own soon, but she made me one on the floor out of extra pillows. Although the apartment did not have water inside it, it was still cold. This kingdom had been built into the rock wall behind the canyon on both sides. I had been wondering how they slept properly. It is hard to sleep in the water. It would eventually take you right up to the ceiling of the room. Hitting those rocks up there would hurt, and everyone would have marks and bruises on them. Plus, my uncle had job duties to attend to here. He had paperwork to do that can't just be floating around. I was honestly wondering how things were going to be done here. This makes sense. I'm sure they needed to be in their human form to have sex anyway. They need to carry on to create the next generation. I knew they had to be in human form, or my mother would never have gotten pregnant with me in the first place. So I have to assume that their parts are exactly the same as humans when they are in human form. I was just waiting to see how things went today. So far, it is eerily similar to my own life in Santa Monica, and that is not a good thing. I'm sure that things will get worse here before they get better. I heard the threat that Mariella gave. If she was confident enough to tell me that to my face, let alone in front of my uncle, that I was not going to pass the test. I'm pretty sure they were not hollow words. She was positive, no matter what I learned in training, that there was no way that I would be able to pass this test. It made me sad. I knew that Doris and her family were behind it. All I wanted to know was if my father was a part of their plan too. It hurt me to even think about my father being okay with me being exiled from his kingdom. I had just found out about him and where he was. I was finally so close to getting to meet him, only for me to hear that I was being set up. It left a bad taste in my mouth. It seemed like Doris was working pretty hard to try to keep us apart without being conspicuous about it. The visitors had come here yesterday, but instead of having dinner with them that night, she waited for the night that I was coming in. She is pretty smart to keep it from being obvious that was what she was intending. The problem with their plan is that they didn't know me. I have lived my whole life being bullied and pushed down. I'm used to this type of behavior. I didn't want to be. It was not something that I signed up for. They are going to have to up their game, though, because I'm used to being treated badly. I was not going to give up. I was successful in my human life. Well, as far as my grades go. I plan on being successful in my mermaid life as well. I heard what my uncle said. I trusted him, and I trusted my cousin, Varun. I don't know Indigo, but his aura is better than Nathan and Dion's, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I also trusted Peter. Even though I had just met him, I trusted him. It is a little weird, but I know that these 4 men, my Aunt Maisie, and my cousin Ashira could all be trusted. I got dressed in another one-piece swimsuit this morning. I have 4 additional swimsuits now, and I'll be changing them each day. Ashira told me that by being in the water daily with my training, I needed multiple suits. I was not scared of the training part of this. I welcomed it. It allowed me to focus on something else other than the test and the upcoming school year. Ashira was excited about my training being started. She was not going to be coming with me for the first 2 weeks of training. Uncle Ronan knew we liked to talk and we goofed off more when we were together. He wasn't wrong, so I decided to buckle down and bear it for the first 2 weeks. Uncle Ronan had mentioned at breakfast this morning that we would be training from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single day. He also looked right at Cyrena and said, "No one will be allowed into Callie's training. There will be consequences if you let your cousins know anything about the training." I was glad that he didn't mention where it was going to be held to anyone. According to Ashira, there are a lot of training areas here, plus the fact that we could go out into the ocean to get training done. Uncle Ronan didn't want to train me in the ocean. We would not be able to communicate with each other without going to the surface. They had added a section and 2 chairs to the table. I had already been getting glares as I sat between my Uncle Ronan and Varun. Most of the glares were from Cyrena. She was grounded by her actions but still blamed me for the whole thing. Dion was a close second. Seeing Peter defend me yesterday, plus her getting in trouble with her father for letting Cyrena know about dinner last night, had her in trouble. I guess she had a little crush on Peter. Nathan was a little less hostile to me this morning. He didn't say a word, but his attitude towards me was better. I guess he felt bad for me getting attacked like that for no reason. I guess that guys don't like a lot of drama, be they human or mermen. I don't like a lot of drama either. I thanked my Aunt Maisie for the towel she handed me and turned to leave. I followed my Uncle Ronan, Varun, and Indigo as we headed up one level of stairs and then down a long hallway. Uncle Ronan told me on the way to the training area that we would have the south training area to ourselves. I was surprised to see that Peter was already standing there as we came down the hallway. I was surprised to hear my uncle tell me last night that Peter was going to be involved in my training. As who and what I am was to be kept secret. I'm not even going to speculate on why he's here. The conversation from last night kept going through my head. Ashira and I talked a lot before bed. She reminded me of the fact that all 4 of the previous blessed mermaids had ended up being the Queen of Atlantis. We were silent for the next few minutes as we both thought about what that meant. She said, "It is going to get worse once Mariella knows that you're a blessed mermaid. She's going to try to end you." Her mother and grandparents worked really hard to get that marriage contract. Originally, she was to have married Peter, but he likes Mariella even less than we do, although I do not think that is the reason that he stepped down. I had heard that Peter did not want the pressure of being king. He was a brilliant mind and wants to use his gifts to make things better for our people. I had never spoken to him before, but he is really cute. I'm glad that he's here to help you. I'm going to train as hard as I can. I understand that his being here adds a level of safety for me, and I'm glad they're here. I didn't mention anything about me being queen. It is too far-fetched for me to even entertain that idea. All I'm focused on is my training and staying safe. I do not have any other agenda for this. As we got closer, we could hear what Peter was saying to the guards at the door.
Do not allow anyone to enter without getting approval from either Ronan, Varun, or me. No one, no matter who they are, is allowed to come in here during training. Even the king and queen, and any of their offspring. Right now, my sister and I are the highest-ranked Mer people here in your kingdom. I'm the Duke of Atlantis, and my sister is the Duchess. Only she and her friend Phoebe are allowed to enter during a training session without being announced. I will need you to send a message via your kingdom's link. You can send either Ronan or Varun to request entry. Be sure to get their approval before anyone else is allowed to enter. Is that clear to you both?
Peter asked them. I could tell that they were nervous about agreeing. He had just laid down the law, but it would be hard to stop the king and queen of their kingdom. He gave them as out, advising that they just needed to be announced. He also seemed pretty intent on taking the blame for it on his shoulders. He showed no inkling of fear right now. He was absolutely serious, and he meant business. He wanted them to know that to cross him was to bring the king of Atlantis down on them. I could tell that it was not a great position for them to be in, from the look on both their faces.
Yes, Duke, we understand. Ronan told us the same thing last night. He said that his wife would be there to bring everyone lunch each day. He also said that she was the only one who was allowed in without prior approval.
One of the guards managed to get out. It was because Peter was pushing out his aura. It wasn't the most he could do. I can feel how much power he held back from them. I then wondered how I knew he had been holding back. It wasn't causing us to submit or bow down to his power, but it was greatly affecting the guards.
Good. I will also want to know if anyone else attempts to enter, or even comes over to hang out here. I know that this is the least used training area. No one should be over here for any reason. Make a note of who they are. Actually, make 2 sets of notes. One for me and one for Ronan. Even Kano himself does not need to know that you're keeping track. No one does. Is that understood? Wait until they leave to write anything down. I'll deal with them myself.
Peter told them. He seemed to be very proactive about us not being interrupted. I have to say that I am thankful for him doing that for me. He's clearly trying to protect me. I had a nightmare last night that someone found out that I was a blessed mermaid and tried to kill me. It wasn't Mariella, but she was there, encouraging them to hurt me. I shuddered just remembering it. I don't know why it has happened, but I'm going to follow the instructions given to me in training. I didn't sign up for this, but I swear that my days of allowing someone to bully me are over.